Welcome in to the CHGO Blackhawks Podcast. I'm Jay Zawaski with Greg Boysen. Joey's with us today, running the show. We're here in Studio B, Adard, as it was named yesterday during our mailbag segment. Thanks for being with us. We appreciate you. Hope you're having a great Wednesday. As I do every show, check the day of the week on my computer before I say it out loud. It is a beautiful day outside, so when we're done, go outside. In the meantime, smash that like button, subscribe to the YouTube page as well. Podcast listeners, like, review, 5 stars, Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please, and make sure you're subscribed or following on your favorite podcast app. We've got a lot to get to today. We're going to kind of spray to all fields. Frankly, not a ton of Blackhawks on today's show.
Good.
But you may have seen the headline that the NHL thinks you're stupid. And we've spent the last couple days going through the mailbag, and a couple people asked about this. And the more time that passes and the more information I get about it, the more pissed off I am about the CapFriendly thing. And that the league just doesn't want contract info available to fans. And what frustrates me about this, and one thing we've said about the NHL forever, is they can't really seem to get out of their own way. And what they're seeing CapFriendly is like, oh, this is a private thing for players. Players shouldn't have their financials out there. There's also GMs who don't want their mistakes public for everybody in the world to see. What they're missing, though, is what are the biggest days on the NHL calendar that are not game-based? Draft, free agency, trade deadline.
Yeah.
People love transactions. They love playing GM. And by CapFriendly going away without a clear, site to take it over when they're gone, we're losing that element of the game. And I think it's the NHL's effort to keep you stupid and not worrying about salaries and not trying to figure things out too much, not being too smart, not being smarter than your GM. Just sit there and take it and smile on it. It's just irritating the hell out of me.
Yeah, they're scared of informed fans, just like a lot of people in charge of other things are scared of informed citizens.
Informed consumers.
Yes,
Yep.
the more you are, the more knowledge you have, the more dangerous you are to people in power. Unfortunately, that's... The NHL, I've said it a million times, under Gary Bettman, is, the Sideshow Bob Simpson's episode where no matter where he steps, he walks into a rake.
Yeah.
That's the NHL. Like
over and over again.
They just... It seems like they don't care about the fans' enjoyment half the time. Hey, cool. Look at these cool outdoor games I gave you.
Here's 1 million of them.
And it's the same, and it's a rotation of the same 8 teams in 8 markets.
Right.
Hey, we're going to go to the absolute most embarrassing outfitter to make our jerseys. So the one thing that separates this league from all other leagues can turn to absolute shit too.
That's a really good point.
Like, hockey jerseys are so effing cool. They're the best jerseys in all of sports.
Yes.
They're unique. They're different. And now they're going to be crap. Just look at the MLB jerseys. They look like little league jerseys.
It's so bad. And yeah, you're right. Like, the cool thing about it, you buy an authentic jersey and you go and you look at the detail of the stitching, especially if you have an authentic Hawks jersey. Yeah. Like every
wearing in the
little
wintertime without a coat.
Yeah,
it's heavy.
It's awesome.
It feels different than any other jersey out there.
I mean, and you look to like the BioSteel thing. That company's already out of business. It's like
now they've got body armor, which will probably be bankrupt by Christmas. Like, come on,
all these little things that just make it feel so mom and pop. And
stick with Gatorade. Stick with
even Powerade.
Whatever.
Powerade's been around for 25 years or something. They're not going anywhere.
It's just they always try to be like, hey, we want to be outside of the box, but they go the wrong side of the box outside. Yes. Go the other way. Try something cool and different.
Well, all they do is keep is keep verifying the fact that they're a niche sport.
They're out of touch with reality.
Yes.
You could still they're still pumping up until like 6 months ago. NHL NFTs. They jumped on that 2 years. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Stop yourselves. It's infuriating. I love this sport so much. I love the game of hockey. I love, the league itself, but I hate the people who run it. It's a bunch of guys that are satisfied with the league being where it is. Hey, we're making more money now than we did 20 years ago. That's cool. Hey, you could be making 3 times as much money as you are right now if you just stop thinking it's 1962 and stop gatekeeping and let new fans in and let, grow the sport with women and grow the sport in different communities. Inner cities, the LGBT community.
Yeah.
Grow it where there's so much untapped revenue out there.
Well, there's another example.
And you don't do it.
Is they give in to the vocal minority and they cancel any sort of cause jersey, and be it Pride, be it first responders, be it military appreciation, nothing.
No.
Nothing.
So because
Hockey fights cancer, nothing.
So because 5% of the people are butthurt, now nobody gets anything. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I can't wait for Gary Bettman to no longer be, not Barry Getman. I like Barry Getman. Gary Bettman, get out of my hockey league.
Yeah.
Long overdue. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of the nickel and dime bullshit. I'm tired of just, people laugh at hockey in this country for good reason.
Yep.
For good reason. It's never going to be taken seriously as long as Gary Bettman is in charge. And this is just it's not like the CapFriendly thing, the whole contract thing. It's like probably not even in the top 10 worst things that they've done, but it still sucks. That just shows you how many shitty things they've done.
But allow your fans to be informed. The more informed they are, and the more, look, you might not love the idea of armchair GMs dissecting every little move you make on Twitter all the time.
It's going to happen no matter what.
Those fans are your most engaged consumers. They're the ones going to games, buying merch, watching out-of-market games, subscribing to NHL.tv or ESPN Plus or whatever, and they're the ones driving revenue to your league. Yeah, every sport has casual fans, but let those fans, who are the ones that are going to play armchair GM on CapFriendly, or potentially, hopefully, Puckpedia or whoever picks up the slack for CapFriendly, let that happen. The fact that they don't want this, especially in a hard cap league. So here's what's going to happen, right? Let's just say CapFriendly goes away. We don't have a public space for this knowledge, right? So the Hawks announced, we've signed Jake Gensel. Terms were not disclosed. Yeah, but how are we supposed to evaluate that? How are fans supposed to evaluate that?
But the teams all release salaries, though.
They don't all. The Hawks used to not. And then it was up to CapFriendly to figure it out. And then finally, when the Hawks were like, well, CapFriendly gets it, Sort's going to start doing it. And they called it transparency, which is great. Good. Do it. Please continue to do that with or without CapFriendly. But still, I mean, how often?
But if you don't make it public, then how are the teams going to know what they can trade with you and not trade with you?
Well, the theory would be that most teams should have their own proprietary CapFriendly of their own. But I was listening to the Athletic Hockey Show today, and they don't.
They don't.
There's teams right now that are scrambling to figure something out. And the other thing, too, is when you look at Puckpedia or Money Puck or whatever you want to go to, those are all fine and good. They're all getting their info from CapFriendly.
Right. They're just going to have to figure out the ways. Hopefully CapFriendly sells some of their trade secrets, or one of those guys, goes and helps out one of these other. Like, we've gone through this before. There was Cap Geek back in the day, and that closed down for, the owner's health reasons.
Yeah, he
and
passed
then
away, right?
There was another one before CapFriendly too. The name always, it's not Natural Stat Trick, because that's a different site. Was it Fan something? There was a site in between Cap Geek and
SalaryCapCalculator.com?
No, I thought it says something either with ice or fan in the title. I'm whatever. There was another site. I'm too old to remember what it was. But so CapFriendly was like the third incarnation of that type of website. So
Yeah.
I'm confident there'll be a general manager. That's what it is. Thank you.
Yes, there it is.
Thank you,
you.
Reddy Edgemont. General manager was in between Cap Geek and CapFriendly. So, something else will rise from these ashes and hopefully be at least 80% as good. CapFriendly had so many cool other little features.
Yeah.
The buyout calculator and all that stuff. So I'm sure there are some really smart computer people who can somehow go on that site while it's still open and like figure out all those codes and things and make it happen.
But someone DM'd me. I'll give him credit. It was Jeffrey DM'd me on Twitter and was like, "I don't understand. Like, isn't this just like a database, like a UI with a user interface?" I go, "Well, it's more than that because the people at CapFriendly get the information before anybody. They've got all the nitty gritty details on node movement clauses and the kinds of free agents guys are on. Like, there's varying kinds of RFAs, and if you had they have the salary cap, like the buyout calculator, and all these things that someone else can build, but they had just perfected it so well that whoever has to redo it they've got a lot of work to do. And like I said, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen, but it's just, I don't know. It just frustrates that they're making it more difficult to be a fan. Why?
Right.
Why are you doing this? I don't.
The one league that can't afford it.
And they're gonna
doing it.
And you're gonna find, even back in the day, like in the '90s when there was no salary cap and a deal was signed and it was due to team policies, terms will not be released. Someone got them.
Right.
It'll be Scott Powers or whoever will find the terms and release them. So why not just make them available? I don't see the downside aside from GM's butthurt that their contract mistakes are out there for everybody to see. But guess what? They already know, with or without CapFriendly, if your signings and trades were bad.
Yeah. I don't know. It's
real annoying.
It's very frustrating to be a hockey fan at times. But what's not frustrating? Is going to a baseball game on a beautiful summer day like today, regardless of the outcome.
Yeah.
A beautiful day at a major league ballpark is a good day, regardless if your team on the north side sucks or your team on the south side really sucks.
There's a lot of suckage happening.
We have Chicago baseball has cornered the market on sucky baseball, and Game Time is the place where you could save money on your sucky baseball tickets. Game Time is an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on Game Time will actually go down the closer you get to first pitch, with killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, and views from your seats. Their lowest price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying your MLB tickets. Hey, you don't want sucky Chicago baseball? You want to go to a different city and watch good baseball teams?
Yes, I do.
And experience another ballpark? Well, the View from Your Seat app is awesome. It does exactly what it says. You pick a seat, and it shows you exactly what you're going to see, so you're not going to show up to the ballpark and go, wow, these seats suck. You won't do it because you'll be able to get that View from Your Seat from Game Time. And I'm looking right now. The Cubs are in town. Cubs-Cardinals. Those tickets are still a little pricey for my blood. I mean, $63 gets you into a Friday afternoon game. You can join our Friday 120 club out in the bleachers. But it's the Cardinals and the Cubs. That's a big rivalry. But head over to Game Time and take the guesswork out of buying your Major League Baseball tickets. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code CHGO, and you're going to get $20 off your first purchase. Hey, and if you don't want to go to a baseball game, you can get anything you want. They've got concert tickets, other sporting events. They're all right there at Game Time. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code CHGO for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Try the ribs.
And, it's always good to be informed with your purchase. And just like with Game Time, sometimes, maybe you're not super familiar with the world of cannabis and you need a little bit of help on your first few visits because you're not really sure exactly what you're after and what it's going to take because, it's kind of a new thing around these parts. And if you go to a place like Sunnyside, our friends at Sunnyside, it's the best place to go. They are your home for judgment-free cannabis shopping, where all kinds of visitors are welcome to explore, discover, and purchase a wide array of high-quality products. They have everything you need to elevate your summer. They're your one-stop shop for all your cannabis needs. Sunnyside has an expertly curated menu with over 100 strains to choose from. Plus, they've got super easy online ordering and in-store pickup. It's Illinois' favorite dispensary with locations in the city, Wrigleyville and River North, and the burbs, Champaign, South Beloit, and more. If you're just starting out, Sunnyside has that expert guidance and brands they know you'll love, like Good News and Mindy's. Those are literally my two favorite brands. They are my go-tos all the time. Head to sunnyside.shop and use the code HICHGO. That's high CHGO at checkout for 35% off favorite brands like Cresco, Good News, and more to elevate your first purchase. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary, bright buys every day, only for 21 plus or Illinois MedCard holders. All right, so Greg, when you were coming in, I sent you a list of names with a little bit of context, and I didn't give you the context. And here's what this is about. We have joked over the last few weeks, especially with the Florida Panthers being as good as they have been in the playoffs, about underrated Aleksander Barkov. Mm-hmm. And every year the players poll comes out, and every year Aleksander Barkov is considered one of the most underrated players of the year. And we scoff at that because if it happens every year, can it really still mean he's underrated? Again, listening to the Athletic Hockey Show is kind of a throwaway line, but here's what stuck with me, and here's what planted this in my head. He is still underrated in the eyes of the players. So this list was published. This was in September of 2023. Dom Lucian, Sean Gentile, and Shayna Goldman at The Athletic made their tiered list of players. Okay, so they've got the tier 1, which is the MVP tier, and within that tier there are 1A, 1B, 1C, same with tier 2, and so on. So here are the tier 1 players. 1A tier is one player. It's Connor McDavid. 1B is Leon Draisaitl, Nathan McKinnon, Austin Matthews, and Cale Makar. 1C tier is Jack Hughes, David Pastrnak, Matthew Tkachuk, and Adam Fox. Again, this is before last season began. Tier 2 they define as a franchise player, a top 32 skater, a player that is the best player on a contender or second best on a championship caliber team, an elite top line forward with number one defenseman. So here's the 2A tier is Crosby, Kaprizov, Kucherov, Marner, Rantanen, Robertson, and McAvoy. Your 2B tier, Sebastian Aho, Aleksander Barkov, Jack Eichel, Elias Pettersson, Braden Point, Miro Heiskanen, Roman Josi. As I've been watching these playoffs, and I've been thinking about Sasha Barkov as a player, I'm asking myself, how many players in the league would I definitively rather have than Aleksander Barkov? Okay. And that's the reason I went to this tier list, because I didn't want to go top of my head. I want to have something to work off of. And so these are established by The Athletic before the season, the best 20 or so players in the league. To have him as a 2B in this is crazy. I would take him over anyone in this 2A tier. McAvoy, Robertson, Rantanen, Marner, Kucherov, Kaprizov, Crosby. I might move Kucherov up.
Yeah,
after
Kucherov
this year.
should go up. Adam Fox should probably go down.
Yeah.
That's way overrated.
I would also take him over anyone in the 1C tier. Jack Hughes, David Pastrnak, Matthew Tkachuk, Adam Fox. And I'm just saying we have to look at this as they are currently.
Yeah.
Okay? So you can't say, in 5 years, Jack Hughes is going to be this or that, or in 2 years, Crosby's going to be retired, or whatever it might be. We're looking at it today. To me, there's like 3 guys that I would really, really balk at trading for Sasha Barkov. McDavid, Makar, and Austin Matthews. That's it. You
would trade Nathan McKinnon for Aleksander Barkov?
I would. Ooh. Because I think that he does more overall. I think he does everything great. He is elite at every asset of the game. And while McKinnon is super fast and a great dynamic scorer and not horrible defensively by any means, don't get me wrong, you look at what Barkov is doing, and it's a lot of stuff like kind of behind the numbers. No one is generating shit against him. And he's still producing.
Yeah, but I wouldn't call him elite offensively.
Well,
he's pretty damn good, but 80 points, 23 goals, 80 points. That's not elite.
It's not elite, but
that's why I would not give up Nathan McKinnon for Barkov.
It's also, though, and let's look back to the way that Jonathan Toews was used during his time here, right? Like, there were a lot of times where Jonathan Toews was a good point producer, but a lot of the time his individual numbers suffered because of his offensive responsibilities, or defensive responsibilities, I mean. Barkov's in the same category, and he is still producing really good numbers.
Yeah, I think Barkov, now that Patrice Bergeron is retired, he's now the new Patrice Bergeron.
Yeah.
As far as he's going to get that, like the Selke is his every year until he retires now, just based.
It feels that way.
Like Bergeron.
Yeah.
Bergeron and Barkov are like two peas in a pod.
Yeah.
Where I think Barkov could be, that elite offensive player if he didn't worry so much about the way he played defense. Just like Bergeron, they're very similar. Yeah. Very good offensive players, best defensive forward in the league, and there's no argument about that.
We can argue McKinnon, yes or no, or would you put McKinnon over? Fine. My point is,
no, he shouldn't
that
be.
He's a top 5 player. I think he's a top 5 player. In the
top 8 player, no doubt about that. I mean,
I'm taking him over Draisaitl.
It also depends.
I'm taking him over Pasternak.
Yeah, I'm taking him over Pasternak.
As much as I love Matthew Tkachuk, I'm taking him over Tkachuk.
I'm not taking him over. I think I'm keeping Jack Hughes, though. Because I think Jack Hughes...
Again, we're talking about today.
Today, Jack Hughes is very good defensively. And a better offensively.
Okay.
And I know we're talking today, but I think Jack Hughes has a chance to be the next Sasha Barkov.
So that would you have a Barkov over Draisaitl?
That's tough. Because Draisaitl does a lot.
He does. I don't know. I just
see. I guess it depends on the team I'm building. Like, do I give up Draisaitl and replace him on the Oilers with Barkov? Yes, because then you have a Stanley Cup team.
Yeah.
If I'm just talking about the Blackhawks right now, I might take Draisaitl over Barkov.
Yeah, I mean,
but if I'm the Oilers and the Panthers call right now and say, "Hey, mid-series trade, we'll give you Barkov for Draisaitl," right. I'm making that trade.
Maybe here's a better way to do it then for the exercise is all rosters have been wiped clean, and there's a redraft.
Okay,
how far is Barkov getting?
Not past 6.
I can't imagine it gets past 6 either.
I mean,
of course, we've not thrown Bedard into this conversation yet.
Right, he's first overall. I mean, if you're drafting and you have that first pick, you're probably taking Connor McDavid. If not, You're taking Cale Makar. Makar goes 2. Matthews probably 3. McKinnon probably 4.
Okay.
And then Barkov. Maybe Barkov 4. McKinnon
maybe
5.
Hughes or Barkov. Yeah.
I mean, he's top 6.
So the point being,
6 at the very late. He's not. But again, this was September.
Yes.
This list came out.
Oh, he will be when this list comes out again.
He will be in that
MVP
tier. At least he better be.
Yeah,
otherwise,
he'll be in the 1B or 1C tier. At least.
I'm gonna yell at. I'm gonna yell at
nerds.
Dom and his graphs and his spreadsheets again. Like,
but I think because we kind of joked about, like, the players are the ones every year that say you are still underrating Aleksander Barkov. You are still. We've been telling you this now for 10 consecutive player polls that Barkov's underrated. And you just go, wow, yeah, every year he seems to win that. Funny that. He's still underrated. He is still undervalued. And, like, even people in the chat are like, really? You got him that high? Is he a $10 million player? Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
He is
elite at everything.
He is to the Florida Panthers what Jonathan Toews was to the Stanley Cup Blackhawks.
And again, I think we've got some recency bias with Toews. You forget how great Jonathan Toews was. There was a time when Toews was considered by many the best player in the NHL, the best all-around player in the NHL, and injuries and concussions and all those things caught up with him. But there was a time, I remember, I believe it was The Athletic, because we're giving him a lot of free press today. they pulled GMs and said, if you had to start a franchise with Crosby or Taves, who would it be? And it was close, but Taves won that.
Yeah.
That's saying something. And yeah, Crosby's had a better career, more longevity, all that stuff, of course. So at the end of the day, those that said Crosby would have ended up being right. But for the prime, Jonathan Taves was at least second best in the NHL. So to make that comparison and he made $10.5 million. And I think Barkov is worth that and more. That's all I'm saying.
No, I don't disagree with any of that. It'll be interesting to see. We have to keep a mental note. If they release this tiering system for next year, we should take a peek at it and see what's changed. I don't think Adam Fox is an MVP caliber player, and that's not just my hatred for all things Rangers. I mean,
I think Kaprizov moves down.
Kucherov should be moving up. I don't know how Kucherov.
I think Heiskanen moves up.
Yeah. I don't know how.
Mitch Marner probably moves down now because that's a popular thing to do.
Mikko Rantanen maybe moves up.
Moves up my eyes.
It's crazy when you look at one tier 1A and 1B, and it's 5 guys, not the Burgers, who play on 3 teams. The Avalanche and the Oilers have 2 of those guys.
Yep.
Crazy.
It's not fair.
It's crazy.
That's not fair.
I mean, at least the Oilers won the Avs won their cup with all this elite talent. But
and Godfather CHGO says Barkov is like Hossa. I think that's what that means. And if Hossa was a dominant center, that's a pretty good comparison.
He's Hossa but plays center
with more offensive production.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I mean he's the Panthers. Matthew Tkachuk gets a lot of the spotlight for the Panthers. He does a lot of the flashy things. He does the
and he's
physical
great too,
stuff.
don't get me wrong.
He is great. I wouldn't have him in an MVP caliber tier, but he gets the spotlight because he does. He does the fighting and he does the physical stuff and he does the trash talking and he scores great goals. But Panthers aren't in their second straight Stanley Cup final and 2 wins away from a championship without Barkov.
And by the way, Barkov is officially a $10 million player until 2029-30.
When he signs with the Blackhawks.
Sure. When he's owed.
Trade for him.
Yeah, there you go.
So Lucas Reichel, Connor Murphy.
Number 2.
Done.
Second round pick.
Right.
Yeah.
Next year's second round.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
They're going to need that cap relief.
Yeah. There you go. Precisely.
Especially after they win the cup. You got to tear it down. That's what you do after you win a cup, right? You trade away all your players.
Well, that's what the Hawks ended up doing. Unintentionally, but they did it.
Well, that was the mastermind Dale Talon part of that.
Oops, I forgot to send that fax or click that box.
Oops.
Oh, well. Hey, you want to tell us about Circa?
I will. When I find what the heck I did with it. Circa, they are the best sports book app out there. Why? Well, they have tight money line splits. They have a low hold model. Games will strive to be a -110 split on the Circa Sports menu, unlike other sports book, which may use -115 or -120 splits. What does that mean? It means you're going to win more money when you bet at Circa. And isn't that the whole idea? At least I think so. Plus, Circa does not limit players based on their winnings. Every player has the same limits, unlike other books who do limit winning players. I've never had that issue. We encourage bettors to download and explore all the betting apps available. Compare lines from each sports book, and I'll bet that you're right back at Circa Sportsbook. Plus, there are real people behind the Circa Sports brand who resolve issues in a timely fashion, unlike other books who use chatbots.
Boo.
All aspects of the app are being run by the same team that runs the main Circa Sportsbook at the Circa Resort and Casino in Las Vegas, which I'm looking forward to seeing in a couple of weeks.
Yes, sir.
So download the Circa Sports Illinois app at circasports.com/Illinois-app and sign up today. Also be on the lookout for Circa events, watch parties, and tailgates. They're with us for all Cubs Friday 120 clubs, which another one this week. And we're going to be doing some stuff with Circa. We're in Vegas for the draft, so keep your eyes open for that. If you or someone you know have a problem with gambling, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Text GAMB to 833-234 or visit areyoureallywinning.com. The answer is no.
Last night, there was dumb winning being done. And I told you about the dual softball games I had at 2 locations. Won both of them.
Nice.
Good game. Addie missed the game, sprained ankle, but she's fine. She's in a walking boot. She'll be fine. And I told you I was going to have those Coors Lights queued up. And I got home from those 2 games, rolled up with some Taco Bell, and washed it down with some icy cold Coors Light because I needed to choose chill. And when it's time to choose chill, there's no better beer to choose chill with than Coors Light. You know by now it is mountain cold refreshment. As cold and refreshing as the Colorado Rockies, but sometimes you just got those busy days. It's not necessarily bad. It's just a lot. You know, and you just want to kick back, settle down. Coors Light gets it done. When those Martins turn blue on your can or your bottle here, it's as cold as the Rockies. Coors Light is cold lagered, cold filtered, and cold packaged for a smoother finish. Cold packaged.
Isn't doing the job.
Well, it's plastic. When you embrace a chill mindset, it's a good time to choose chill and crack open a Coors Light. Coors Light is mountain cold refreshment, crisp and refreshing as the Colorado Rockies. Make the most out of the times you choose to chill. Choose Coors Light. Get Coors Light delivered straight to your door with Instacart by going to CoorsLight.com/CHGO Hockey. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. So anyway, the point I was trying to illustrate, maybe I did it poorly, was just that while we joke about the underrated thing, the players still seem to believe Barkov is not getting enough credit. And I think unless Bobrovsky is just absolutely unbelievable, Barkov could be your Conn Smythe winner if Evan Rodriguez doesn't steal it from him.
Evan Smythe-Rodriguez.
Yeah, but I don't know. He's just such a good player, and I think part of this is kind of another NHL gripe, is they're so market-based. Everything is so like, well, you know, these smaller markets aren't going to be a draw. Star players are the draw. Yeah. And when you start marketing your players better and saying, hey, there is a reason to tune in to watch Florida. There's a reason to tune in to watch Edmonton. There's a reason to tune in to watch whatever. That's when this league will start to really grow, because you look at the NFL, you look at the NBA, you look at Major League Baseball to a lesser extent. They still have their own problems. But those two, NBA and NFL, are star-driven leagues. And what are the biggest markets right now in the NFL? Kansas City.
Because they win?
Yeah. I mean, you got Denver, who's really good in the NBA. Like, it's just, yeah, Boston's there, of course.
I wonder how much, with the NHL being such an international league, the language barrier affects the marketing. I mean, I know Pasta's done some of his Dunkin' Donuts commercials with his accent, and they've been entertaining. But
Nicholas Chalmerson do the fake IKEA ads.
Yeah.
I still remember, though. Whenever I'm at IKEA, I see stuff that he said in the commercial, tough to bull, and I say it just like he did, you know.
But I wonder how much that like if marketing firms are turned off by that, or the NHL is afraid to be like, hey, we can't put these guys out there in front of cameras if they can barely speak English. You know, it could be a factor, but you're right. Just because he plays in Florida shouldn't be a hindrance. And it could be an issue like we say all the time what we used to think about Duncan Keith. Maybe he's just been so good for so long that the league just takes him for granted on how good he really is, because he does it every night. Every night. You never have to worry. You know exactly what you're getting from him. Eventually, you get bored with that, no matter how good it is. You're just like, oh, ho-hum, there's Sasha Barkov doing what he does every game.
Yeah, I think part of it, too, is with him specifically, you don't get those, like, real highlight moments. You know, he's not a guy who's going to pull off on Michigan. He's not a guy who's going to go coast to coast and dangle a bunch of guys like you've seen, you know, Bedard and McDavid and guys like McKinnon and McCarr. Like, those guys have those moments. Whereas Barkov is just a solid business-like, again, very much like Marian Hossa, who did have his highlight moments. But Hossa's, like, what made Hossa great was just his ability to keep everybody off of him with one, you know, fighting off a checker with one hand, stick handling with the other, plowing himself into the front of the net and scoring goals. Barkov plays a similar way, and that's not going to make the highlight shows. Right. So I think that's part of it too. But this is what I'm talking about, though, with the NHL. It's like you got to find a way to better highlight these great players that are playing. I said it yesterday. We're in like a second golden age of hockey. Mm-hmm. You had the Gretzky, Lemieux, Jagr era. Now you've got the, Makar, McDavid, Bedard era. And they've got to get better at marketing their players. And, you talked about it with the Winter Classic. It's the same 8 teams all the time. And a lot of times those teams have the best players, but not always. There's a lot of really good players.
Not going to be a ton of marketable outside of Connor Bedard. Who's the marketable player for Blackhawks Blues? The league going to go crazy for Jordan Kyrou? Probably not.
No.
If he's even there. You got Connor Bedard, but who on the other side is your marketing guy? Come watch Connor Bedard make Jordan Binnington shit his pants. Like, is that your marketing tool?
Yeah.
I mean, the Blackhawks have Bedard, and you could argue that you could hype up some of these young players, but they're not stars yet.
No, they're not. Speaking of the Blues, I saw the thing on Daily Faceoff's Instagram yesterday, and it was, here we go. Speaking of tiers, I should send this to Joey. I'll do it right now. It is like the most and least appealing tiers of teams to free agents, and the Blues, not good.
Well, there's a lot of reasons for that. First of all, St. Louis is boring. I saw that on a T-shirt. Must be true.
Yes. So here's your tiers. Tier 1, this is to 2024 free agents. Tier 1, very appealing. Boston, Carolina, Detroit, Florida, Nashville, New Jersey, and Utah.
Utah, come on. Okay. I mean, they're probably appealing because they're going to spend money.
And they've got some good young players ready to make the jump. Tier 2, again, this is from Daily Faceoff on Instagram. Appealing. Colorado, Dallas, Edmonton, Rangers, Toronto, Vancouver. Tier 3, somewhat appealing. Anaheim, Buffalo, the Hawks, the Kings, the Sharks, the Kraken. Tier 4, not very appealing. Columbus, Minnesota, Montreal, Islanders, Lightning, Vegas, Winnipeg.
How are the Lightning and the Golden Knights not very appealing? They win every year.
I don't know.
And you get to live in Tampa and Vegas with no state income tax. I thought that was the only way to build a winner is through no state income tax.
I know. And then you have...
Florida's the state of hockey. Why wouldn't you want to play down there?
Not at all appealing. Calgary, Ottawa, Philly, Pittsburgh, St. Louis, and Washington.
Well, that checks out. That last tier checks out pretty well. All those teams and cities are kind of meh. No offense to our PHLY people, but...
Well, I think that's the torch factor.
Yeah, probably.
I think there's players that are just like, I'm a big name free agent. The last thing I want to do is have John Tortorella in my ear all the time.
I don't want a guy that's making a third of the money I'm making tell me what to do.
Yeah, exactly. Pittsburgh is a place. I always think of this too. Like, if I was a hockey player, I'd like to play in Pittsburgh. Good history there.
It's good hockey town, good sports town.
Yeah,
nice little arena.
But you're right about Vegas and Tampa being not very appealing.
I don't understand that at all.
What? You don't like great weather and
like playing in the Stanley Cup playoffs every year?
Yeah, that's a weird one.
You don't like playing for teams that will do whatever it takes to win? That's not appealing at all.
Obviously, a lot of these things are made just to get conversation and reaction going, which it's worked.
And Nashville, very appealing? Come on.
No.
Nothing about Nashville is very appealing.
What's their cap situation? Is that where they're going with on that one?
I think it's okay. I think they're okay.
Because I'm sure that's part of the factor they're using is, can this team overpay you? But that's the Utah thing too. But right now Nashville has $26 million in cap space.
They're gonna.
Damn.
I think they're gonna be a player this year. But of course, in typical Nashville way, and Nashville is a really cool city. Not as cool as it used to be. It's gotten very commercialized.
It's a nightmare. Effing nightmare.
Yeah, I mean, Nashville 10 years ago was awesome.
Oh, my God,
when we were there last year for the draft, it was the first time I'd been there since 2014, I think. And I didn't even recognize it.
It's unrecognizable. It's crazy. It is just is overly popular because it became a trendy vacation spot. And I still like going there, but like it's not the same as it was. and it's bachelorette party city, and people are hammered all hours of the day.
It's Las Vegas of the South without the slot machines.
But they haven't Nashville hasn't done anything to accommodate the influx of people. Right. Like when I was there pre-COVID, so probably 2018, 2019, the cab driver told me that Nashville's growing by 100 people a day, which doesn't sound like a lot, but when you are voting against infrastructure, like they voted down a train line, they voted down, highway expansion, I think, and getting around Nashville was a freaking nightmare.
Yeah,
it's a nightmare.
It's like if you go down there for a game and you stay within walking distance of the arena, you're fine. You're gonna have a great time.
Right.
You just get in an Uber from the airport, get to your hotel, and then walk. You've got everything you need in walking distance. But otherwise, it can be brutal down there. And I like Nashville, but I wouldn't, if I was a free agent, that wouldn't be very appealing to me.
No, I don't look good in yellow either.
Yeah.
I don't look good in any color, frankly, but especially yellow. But I'll say, if you go to Nashville, Country Music Hall of Fame is a must. The RCA Studio B tour is a must. Have you done that?
I see
that's awesome.
The times I've been down there twice for games, and we were with huge groups, so it was kind of like, and it was also my much younger days, so it was kind of like, hey, we're going to party.
Yeah.
And then we were there for the draft, so I would love to do all that stuff. But
we should go down. We should go down to three of us just for a Hawks Preds game in a regular season.
Sure.
Cover it and spend a day down there.
Sure.
That'd be fun.
I'm for going to all the road games if they would let us.
That'd be great. I'm down for
and
that.
And then I could complain about airport travel too.
Oh, my favorite topic of the playoffs.
I love hearing about people with great jobs who complain about having to travel to watch sporting events.
My complimentary Diet Coke was very, very warm.
Yeah. If I ever get to be that guy, I give everybody here the permission to just punch me in the face as hard as you can.
Fair enough.
Yes.
I hope it doesn't happen, but if it does, at least we'll have something to enjoy as part of it.
But
yeah, it's just I don't know. I get it. And this series especially is a lot of travel, a lot of space between Florida and Edmonton, but
sure. But it's still getting a chance to cover a Stanley Cup final.
A lot of people would give a lot to do that.
You know what? 7-8 hours on a plane in between hockey cities is a lot better than working 8 hours on a roof.
Yeah.
Changing roof,
sucking out porta-johns.
Yeah, or, being a cashier at a coffee shop getting treated like crap all day, or just working in any office environment. Come on.
Yes.
You're lucky. You're a lucky few. Enjoy it or get a different job.
Yeah.
If it's so
Or
rough.
just keep it to yourself.
Some people can't do
that.
Because
people can read that stuff,
People
people who would really love to have your job can read you bitching about your job.
Right.
And we have all got, every job has parts of it that are that you don't love, of course.
Yeah.
But perspective
I don't
important.
love my commute every day from Wilmette to
I do not either.
to the West Loop and game days. And so I don't like that stuff, but man, it's worth it.
We haven't worked a day in almost 3 years.
It's worth it. I'd go even further if I had to.
Yeah, me too. Well, I don't know. These tiers they're pretty funny. I don't know if again, I do think they were done to get people talking, and they did.
Yeah, well,
but anytime we can take a shot at the Blues, I'm here for it.
Yeah, I mean, there's really no scientific answer to that. At least with the player tiers we were just talking about, knowing the people that put that together, there was some numbers and databases that was behind that.
Mm-hmm.
This is just based on cap space, team future, and location. Then how come the Hawks aren't more appealing?
Right.
You get to play in a world-class city. Their future is looking really good, and their cap space is second most in the league. That doesn't make sense. If it's those three things, cap space, team future, and location, the Blackhawks should be in that top tier.
Or at least the second tier. They're not in the same boat as Anaheim, Buffalo, LA, San Jose, or Seattle.
No. Or even Vancouver.
Of those teams I just listed, Seattle, San Jose, LA, the Hawks, Buffalo, and Anaheim, who is closest to contending regularly for a cup? For a cup.
Buffalo.
Okay. But have they ever done anything in their history to indicate they're going to
No.
bring in that big free agent to make a difference? Probably not.
One of these years, Patrick Kane's finally showing up there, though.
Is he allowed back in Buffalo yet? I just think that
can't take a cab.
when you look at that list, the Hawks are by far the most appealing. And look, LA is a good team right now. There's no doubt about it. But they're eventually Drew Doughty and Anze Kopitar are going to run out of gas.
Eventually.
And they've got a lot of good young players. Quentin Byfield is amazing. I don't know if he's going to be a best player on a cup champion team. They've screwed themselves into Pierre-Luc Dubois, who they're probably going to be stuck with here for a while. I don't know. And I know we're biased. But honestly, like when the things we talk about all the time that maybe the intangibles the Hawks have that other organizations don't in terms of accommodations and availability. And I was hearing 32 Thoughts has been talking about this lately too, is with some of these older guys and their kids starting to play, the availability of solid club hockey in the area is super appealing to these guys.
You got the Chicago Mission right there in the same practice facility.
Produce a lot of NHL prospects.
Yes, and there's a lot of former Blackhawks involved with it. Michael Roosevelt coaches there. Adrian Aucoin coached there for a while. Anders Sorensen kid played for Chicago Mission. Lots of those kids go through there. So, you know, it's going to be weird one day when we're like, oh, my God, that's Duncan Keith's kid playing for the Chicago Mission. Like,
that'd be fine.
No, it's you know, Chicago gets bad rap, you know, depending on what news media you rely on. But, you know, hey, they just did I just saw a report the other day. It doesn't fit the narrative, but they released like the top 100 companies in the country. And you know what city has the most of them headquartered in their city? Chicago.
How about that?
No, but I thought everybody was leaving in fear and go woke, go broke and all that stuff.
I was dodging bullets on the way in here.
So, yeah, Chicago does get a bit of a bad rap. But I think all these guys know each other. They all talk to each other.
Yes.
Talk to somebody who's played for the Blackhawks. I would bet
most of them,
for the most part,
yes,
for the most part, there are the exceptions, but you know, give Nick Foligno a phone call.
Yeah, I mean, just look at the Marc-Andre Fleury thing when it happened, and it was like he did not want to be traded from Vegas, and he was like, I don't know if I want to come to Chicago. I don't know if I'm interested in this. And then 2 days later, he's like, all right, F yeah, I'm all in. All the stuff I've heard about this city and about this organization, yes, I'm in. You know, and Jason T says, to be fair, Chicago gets a lot of bad press lately. And that probably takes a lot of the shine off the org. I don't know, for better or worse. I don't know, and I'm not just saying this. I really don't know the answer. I don't know how plugged in or how much NHL players care about what happened 14 years ago with the Blackhawks. I mean, I know the story is fresh because the lawsuit happened, or not, the settlement happened, and Kyle Beach came out and became public and all that stuff. And that was recent, but the actual things that occurred was 14 years ago. And you had everybody from owner to coach to GM to everybody involved is gone.
And again, it's like they'll just text somebody like, hey, my agent tells me the Blackhawks are interested. Hey, Jason Dickinson.
Yeah.
Hey, you know, Connor Murphy. Hey, Nick Foligno. What's it like playing there? What can I expect off the ice? Blah, blah, blah. And they'll tell them, you know, Nick Foligno and Jason Dickinson didn't sign 2-year extensions because, you know, they signed for lots of reasons.
Yeah.
And not all of them have to do with what's on the ice.
I got a $5 super chat from our pal Brad. Hey. Says, speaking of hockey development in the area, do we know if the Hawks have restocked their ambassador program? Who would you like to see rep the team? Well, Chelios has been around, obviously. Yeah. He's around a lot.
Savard still
is involved. I wouldn't mind seeing them. I don't know. They're kind of in a weird like middle spot right now.
Yeah.
Like Tony Amonte's not legal. He's not local. And the guys from that era aren't very well known or beloved. Jeremy Roenick, I think they want to keep it at arm's distance. And
yeah, because you never know what's going to come out of his mouth.
Right. And as much as love the guy as a player, but he's He's put his foot in his mouth many, many times.
They're probably waiting on that 2010 team to get a little further away from, that whole stuff. Plus, I'm sure you'll see. My guess is the next one's going to be Jonathan Taves.
I'd imagine. If he chooses to stay. That's the thing, too, is you got to get these guys to stay here and be committed to the organization. And if you notice, like, a lot of the ambassadors are well past their playing days. So, I don't know. There's tons of options. Hossa is kind of an unofficial ambassador for a guy who lives in another country on another continent. He's here pretty often, and when he's here, he's available. But, yeah, it'll kind of work itself out. But Windy City Hockey says Steve Larmer would be a good option to have. Yeah, I love that.
And Brad says, following up from the super chat, Crawford and his family are still in the area. Could be a great pitch to FAs. Seabrook is still local along with others. So yeah, that's a thing too. If players stay here after they're done playing, and change the logo says maybe some players are worried about getting canceled like Corey Perry. Corey Perry wasn't canceled. He faced consequences for his actions. Sometimes you do things and people tell you to get out. That's life. That's not being canceled. That's called consequences.
It's an interesting comment. I think I'm going to choose chill.
Yeah, that's a good choice.
I'm going to choose chill and walk away from that one.
Room temperature Coors Light.
Yes, consequences for your action is a better way to say it instead of saying canceled. All right, we're going to be back tomorrow. Special time tomorrow, 1:30. Yes. We have a producer shortage. There is a virus going through the office, wiping people out. Steven, he is on his deathbed. We are saying our prayers and eating our Flintstones vitamins for him.
He's sick when he doesn't go to the gym.
I only had 3 foot-long subs today. I can barely get by.
I barely took down this whole dozen of eggs at breakfast. I don't think I could.
I'm starving. No, we're Steven's fine. He'll be back soon, but to make some, we got Law on vacation and Braggs is on vacation, so we are at a producer shortage. So with that in mind, we'll be back tomorrow, 1:30. Are we doing it? Top 10 fins?
Finally,
yeah.
Tomorrow, top 10 fins. Yes.
Let's go.
Bring those don't forget those.
They're in my trunk. I will set a reminder when I get here. Look in the tunk, as Ralph Wiggum likes to say. I will talk to you tomorrow at 1:30. 1:30. Thanks for being with us. Hit that like button on your way out. Have a great rest of your day. We'll talk to you Thursday at 1:30 on the CHGO Blackhawks Podcast.